to Sherry. There we go. Sherry, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm Sherry Madsen, and I am the Director of PR and Partnerships for Red Rover. Excited to be here today.
Siri also says hi to you, Sherry. It always happens
Uh,
whenever I'm in a meeting with Sherry. I'm going to kick it over to Erin.
Hi, everybody. I'm Erin Bielecki. I'm the Director of Communications at Red Rover, so may have talked to some of you. I'm just excited to have you all here and thank you all for joining.
Yeah, thanks, Erin. Tia.
I'm Tia Johnson. I'm with Red Rover. I am the outreach manager and I help a lot with our Don't Forget the Pets project.
Thanks, Tia. And then me, I am Katie Campbell, also with Red Rover, and one of the co-creators of the Don't Forget the Pets project, which we will share more with you about because it plays a really integral role, I think, in helping you along this process of becoming pet friendly. So thank you so much to folks who have dropped in. What brings you to the call today? Super excited to see your answers and to see what you have to share with us. I think you're in the right place, especially if you are interested in becoming pet friendly. We got the money and we got the know-how, and we're going to help you along this process. So super excited to see you all today. And let's go forward if I can. I can't believe it. We have entered the final year of 25 by 2025. We are actually already a quarter of the way through the year, as scary as that sounds. You have joined our update call, so this is something we have done every year while in this campaign, just to kind of give you a heads up of where we're at. We're also going to recap, kind of get us all to the same place of what are the benefits of becoming pet friendly. We'll talk to you about where we've been, where we're going, and of course, leave you with some resources and next steps from here. Quick question for you. If you are affiliated with an organization, what type of organization are you with? So just so we can get a little bit of a flavor for the audience, would love to know where you are joining from. And I will also share as you all are answering that question. Please feel free, drop in any questions that you might have throughout our time. I will keep an eye on the chat. Tia, Sherry, and Erin are also going to keep an eye on the chat. So if questions come up that make sense for us to answer in the moment, I will certainly do that. If not, we will be sure to catch them at the end. But that is part of why we're here is to answer questions. So please do feel free to ask those questions. It looks like we've got some folks from domestic violence, sexual assault centers. We've got some other folks. So welcome, welcome. Happy to have you all here. Mary Trinity, you just popped up in my box, so I got to say hi. Where Mary's working with us again to do another Don't Forget the Pets workshop next month in New Jersey. So super, super excited that you have joined us.
Thanks, Katie. We're so excited about the
Yeah,
project.
I love it. And I'm sorry I totally just called you out, but you just popped up and it made me happy. So there you go. We love it. All right. So we got 7 and 4 and a heart for animal services. I don't know how that got there, but I'm here for it. Okay, next question. Are you currently providing some type of support for pets and people in crisis? So whether you're coming from animal services or human services, are you providing some kind of support? So again, just trying to get a little bit of the lay of the land for what you all might be doing. The heart is still there, so I love it. It might be with us the whole time. All right, so we got some yeses. We got some nots. I am so sorry. I typed these questions really fast when I did the Menti a little while ago. All right, we got some more yeses, some more nos, not sure. All right, cool. Okay. So what is 25 by 2025? Really, quite simply, this is our goal, Red Rover and PetSmart Charities with Greater Good Charities want to help make 25% of domestic violence shelters in the US pet friendly by the end of this year. I'll absolutely tell you where we are right now in just a little bit, but we're going to let the suspense linger for a little while longer. But, this is something that we cooked up I don't know, Bren, maybe right around 2018, 2019. Purina had some support in that too, like throwing out this goal. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. We seemed like we had so much more time. That's all I can contribute to that.
I know. And time just kept on going by. So here we are in our final year. And I think one of the most important things about this campaign and something that really excites us is that it really is about the power of community. Bryn and I and Gabby and Tia, we get to travel around the country and we get to meet folks in these communities who are doing this work all the time. And one of the greatest things that I think organizations give to each other is this idea of like, hey, I'm doing it or I want to do it. Who can I reach out to? Who is there to support me? And there are so many organizations throughout the country who are like, yeah, we're doing it. It's great. We want to help others do this work because it is, I think, so powerful and engaging for them. And they really do love this work of being pet friendly. So, quick definition piece. We're going to talk about what is a pet housing program. I know the slide might seem a little out of place, but we always like calling out from the beginning, like, what is a pet housing program? So, Bren, I'm going to toss it over to you. Can you walk us through this?
Yeah. So like Katie said, it is, these are terms that do tend to be used in both the world of animal welfare and the world of human services. So we just like to clarify so we don't confuse you, because obviously both do on-site housing just for different species of animals, some two-legged and some four. So when we say on-site housing for the remainder of what we talk about, we mean housing people in crisis with their pets. So we are talking pets and people together at a human services shelter. And then offsite is when you're finding some other accommodation for the pets of your clients. So whether that's at a boarding facility, through some foster-based other animal welfare organization or something of that nature.
Thanks, Bren. And then what do we mean by pet? Now, Bren, I do have our super special question coming up. So don't talk about that. But do you want to talk a little bit about what we mean when we say pet?
Sure, and it's really funny you mentioned that because pets do come in a variety of shapes and sizes. And my neighbor's goat was walking across my front lawn this morning. So just not to scare you, but pets do come in many shapes and sizes. It could be snakes, it could be little cage critters, or it could be your goat that happens in your front lawn.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Bren kind of segued into, so my super special question is, are you team dog or are you team cat? So you'll only get to choose one. I am very sorry, but both of them are very cute, I must say. The Huskies are winning so far. I mean, it must be, I think it has to be a sign. I have my virtual background up right now, but if it was off, you would see my husky pictures behind me. I might turn it off at some point because I mean, huskies win all the time. Come on. I do also love the kitties. My cat might come around at some point. All right, so we have 11 dog and 3 cat. 4 cat. There we go. As Bren mentioned, we get a lot of questions like, well, these are just dogs and cats, right? And we're like, no, actually, you're gonna need to be prepared for everything from A to Z, as Bren said. Human services folks, don't worry, we are not advocating that you have the goats and the horses and the cows, at your domestic violence shelter. You're going to work with your partners on that. But just know all different types of animals are going to make up families. The other thing I also want to call out about what we mean when we say pet is, we use the terms companion animal and pet pretty interchangeably. When we say companion animal or pet, we're not talking service animals and we're not talking emotional support animals. So if you are a domestic violence shelter and you are receiving federal funding, you're going to have to take service animals. We know that. That's a conversation for another day. We know emotional support animals. There's some trickiness around that too, and what you have to provide. But I do like calling out that there is really nothing special about an emotional support animal in terms of training that animal needs to receive. An emotional support animal can essentially be a pet or a companion animal. When we have an emotional support animal, it is really identifying the person as needing the emotional support animal. There's no special training for an ESA. Emotional support animal. Bren, I'm going to give you a chance just to get on that soapbox real quick if you want about the emotional support
Sure.
animal piece. Yeah.
So, you just need to be careful. I always like to say, how many of us couldn't actually benefit from a trip to a general practitioner, medical doctor, or a mental health provider? There's a very easy and very inexpensive way to get an ESA letter, an emotional support letter for yourself. Please don't spend $400 going through one of the charlatans. I just love using that word, charlatan. Charlatans online. Those are not real emotional support documentation letters, and they're very easy to get. So please don't waste your $400 getting a fake letter. Just
Yeah.
go see your doctor.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks, Bren. And one of the other reasons why we also like to bring this up is, because we do hear from some human services organizations who will say to us, well, we had a service animal come in, or we had an emotional support animal come in, and they just weren't acting right, and they were behaving badly, and they were doing things that they weren't supposed to do. And so we like to, I think, compassionately call out that, hey, if I'm a domestic violence survivor, somebody experiencing homelessness, and you tell me the only way I can bring my pet in with me is by saying it's a service animal or emotional support animal, absolutely, I'm going to say that, right? And so we need to create opportunities for folks to come in with their pets and companion animals. And the other thing I like to call out, and we probably won't get into it today just because of timing, these could still be service animals who are feeling some trauma and need some support, and are, really just kind of acting out of that trauma. And then finally, remember, emotional support animals, no special training. So they aren't going to be able necessarily to do some of those things that we might think that they should be doing. So before we really jump to that judgment that it's a bad pet or a bad pet parent, really just encourage folks, take that step back and think about what might be happening to this person or that pet. So we are going to dive into it a little bit more. Why become pet friendly? So that we're kind of all at the same place here together. All this information is also on the website, 25by2025.org. Reason number one, quite simply, pet friendly shelters remove a key barrier for survivors to escape abuse. We know that approximately half of domestic violence survivors will delay leaving their abuser if they can't take their pet with them. Through our Safe Escape Grants program here at Red Rover, we've heard stories about survivors who have lived in their cars for 6 months with multiple pets while they waited for a pet-friendly option so that they could stay with their pet. So we know that this creates a real barrier. 25% of survivors reported that they returned to an abuser out of concern for their pet. So this was from a study that the ASPCA released in 2015. And we also know that between 22 and 57% of unhoused women report that domestic violence was the immediate cause. So again, a real barrier to creating or to finding safety with their pet. Now, this is going to be question number 1 of 4. Now, as you log in, you do not have to use your real name. So you can use a fake name. If you win, at some point, you will have to out yourself to Tia and let her know what prize you want, and your mailing address. But this is question 1 of 4 today. And yes, Tony, amazing to see you as well, Tony. Pet Friendly is an on-site shelter. So thank you for calling that out. When we say pet friendly, we mean on-site shelter, people and pets together at the same location. Okay, so question number 1. Again, we're in this barrier phase, right? What percentage of survivors said that keeping their pet with them factored in the decision to seek shelter? Was it 59%, 62%, 73%, 88%, or 97%? You get more points for answering quickly and correctly. Oh man, rough start, rough start. Okay. There's a leaderboard attached with everyone. We'll talk about the 97% here in a moment too. Okay, so we're all tied. Still brand new ball game. 97% of 2,500 survivors said keeping my pet with me factors into my decision to seek shelter. So this comes from a free report that you can download. It's called the PALS report. You can find it at that link on the screen right now. And I think Tia will probably drop it in for you as well. I really love this report because it surveyed about 2,500 domestic violence survivors who were calling into the National Domestic Violence Hotline. And we're being asked about their experience of the link between human and animal violence. Okay. This is a partnership between the Urban Resource Institute, New York City, and the hotline. So 97% of 2,500 people said, yeah, I'm gonna think about my pet before I decide to seek shelter. Okay. So we got a barrier. One of our domestic violence shelter advocates shared with us this sentiment. For my client, it was the difference of staying in the DV situation or getting out, as she would not have left her dogs behind in that situation. For her, knowing that her dogs were safe was as important as her own safety. Okay, so directly from a domestic violence survivor. So reason number 2, pet-friendly shelters can break the link between abusive pets and abusive people. If you don't know of the National Link Coalition, I really encourage you to go check it out. The coordinator, Phil Arco of the National Link Coalition, I think said it best when he said, when animals are abused, people are at risk. When people are abused, animals at risk. So that specifically relates to this link between domestic violence and animal violence. We know that when animals are in the home, there's the potential so when animals are in the home and domestic violence is happening, there is the potential that animal violence could be happening as well. Again, I want to point back to this PALS report. 48% of those 2,500 survivors said the threat of harm to pets was a worry. 37% said the abuser threatened to harm or kill a pet, and 29% said the abuser had actually harmed or killed a pet already. These statistics from this PALS report are pretty much in line with a lot of that foundational data that you can find when you go to the National Link Coalition. That foundational data goes back to like the late 90s, early 2000s, had much smaller sample sizes. So they were generally like 15, 18, 25 women who were already in shelter. But the data is pretty comparative there between this PALS report and that foundational data. But I have another question for you. Again, pulling from this PALS report. And give folks a moment to hop in. Okay. All right, next question. Okay. What percentage of survivors noticed changes in their pet's behavior? Was it 38%, 45%, 59%, 76%, or 92%? There you go. All right, 76%. Let me click through. Check out the leaderboard. All right, YOLO, you only live once. You are in the lead. 76% notice changes in their pet's behavior. So we like to call this one out. Again, sort of as we mentioned a little bit earlier, there may be pets that come into shelter who are exhibiting some behaviors that aren't as great. And so before we really think that this is a badly behaved pet, this is a bad pet parent, we might need to just take a step back and figure out what resources and supports we might need to provide this family to make this a really successful transition for them. I don't have it here today, but one of the things that abusers may do is not allow the survivor to take the pet to vet care for routine vet care. The pet may not be able to get groomed, may not be able to be socialized in the same way as we socialize our own pets. And so all that's to say that you very well may have some pets come in that have never been to the vet. They've never been groomed. They haven't gotten that routine vet care. And so again, I just encourage you before you jump to that judgment piece, just think about what resources and supports that you can provide to get that family back on track. Okay. This project saved 2 lives because I wasn't going to leave my husband without my dog. So I believe this is a survivor quote that came through one of our Purple Leaf Project grants, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Reason number 3, and this one I'm going to turn over to Bryn. Pet-friendly shelters can strengthen the connection and trust between survivors, their pets, and shelter staff. I think this is the one. Yeah, you want to talk about this one, Bryn?
Sure, why not? Yeah, I mean, we really like to stress, when people say to us, we can't take on another thing. We love to talk about how this is just different work and not necessarily more work. And when you think about where you're trying to get a client to or what you're trying to provide, pets can really help in a lot of ways. And so they can actually build trust, empathy, and compassion. When you think of like the morale boost of a pet, it's not just for the pet parent. Also, we hear the most amazing stories from our shelter partners about how it really did help improve, just the mood and elevate morale for their staff as well. And then just that whole, gateway to service. When you recognize a person's pet and the importance that the pet plays in that person's life, so that recognizing whole families really goes a long way towards that helping build trust and empathy. And then I love Katie loves to use the social lubricant, and she is the most guilty of all of us because I swear I don't think she knows half of her neighbors' names, but as they walk by, she can tell me every single one of their dog names, and all about them because people love to talk about their pets. It is an amazing conversation starter, and Katie is proof of that.
Yes, absolutely. I think half is generous.
It's probably true.
Yeah, yeah. I've lived in my neighborhood for I think 6 years now, and I've known Marshall and Max the entire time. The humans attached to them, I just figured out they're Virginia and Chris. But we've had wonderful conversations. Like I know all about like what they do, and I know what the humans do, and so they really are just amazing conversation starters. I think it was Habry. We don't have it in here, but Habry, the Human Animal Bond Research Institute, just released their spring forum report, I believe. And it's basically a report from their spring forum in 2024. And one of the speakers talks a lot about this social lubricant piece. She calls it something different. But we really do, it kind of gets us out of isolation. It gets us out walking a lot of times and connecting with other folks. So really, really love this one. All right. My cat was my home. Do you remember this one, Bryn? Totally going to put you on the spot, but do you want to talk about this quote again?
You are talking about the volunteer from Georgia, right?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we had an amazing experience. Not only do Greater Good Charities and Red Rover partner and get to bring all sorts of crazy cool volunteers together, we actually had a survivor who reached out to us, wanted to volunteer and give back. And we did not know that the person was a survivor at the time, but then over the course of volunteering on the project, let us know that that was why she was there and that she was so committed to it. And we got to talk to her and interview her, and she said, leaving was hard, and the whole situation with, what she had experienced through the course of her abuser and the relationship was obviously awful. But she did say that bringing her cat with her meant all the difference because that place that she was leaving was not her home. Her cat was her home. Wherever her cat was, that was where she belonged, and that they got to heal together. And so it was just such a great story and just such a cool thing that she wanted to come and really pay that forward because it meant the world to her. And she wanted everybody to have that experience.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, and it really speaks, I think, to that power of like how amazing is it when we recognize you know, that a pet is somebody's family, that they might be their home. It's a great bridge to service, I think. All right. Let's see. Oh my goodness. There are resources, grants, funding available for shelters to become pet friendly. I'm so sorry. Right now, like literally right now. So, Gabby, this is you, Gabby. These are your couple of slides.
Okay. So going down the line here on this slide, the first one is take the training. So Katie and Bryn travel all over the country to do Don't Forget the Pet in-person workshops. So it's a day-long workshop and they'll go through the why of starting pet programming to the how. And by the end of it, you should feel totally confident in taking your first steps into pet programming. We have special presentations sprinkled out throughout the year with different programs. We had one with My Dog is My Home. We have some with shelters who are implementing pet programming already. So we have something for everything there, and you can find out more about that on our website. And I think Tia is dropping some links in as well for that. And then on our Don't Forget the Pets website, we have a pretty robust resource library. So we will get documents from all the shelter partners we work with, and then we also do some research as well. So you'll see documents from Habry, like Katie mentioned earlier, Michelson Foundation, all different kinds of great resources that might help you wherever you are in your process of implementing a pet program. And then we have our coaching program. So like I mentioned earlier, so between Red Rover and Greater Good Charities, we kind of hit both sides of starting a pet program. So Red Rover and Danielle and Tia will help you with the process and procedure side of things. And then us at Greater Good Charities will help you with all of the design and construction things. And we'll meet you where you are. So we'll help you every step of the way, whether you just decided you want to implement pets, or if you've been implementing pets and you just want to make some tweaks to your program to make it more efficient. We'll help you wherever you're at, and it's completely free. Some of the things that we can help you with on the construction side are we can look at your existing space, we can look over contractor bids, we can create budgets, designs, 3D renders, all different kinds of things. And then for processes and procedures, we will help you with finding documents you might need, talking about things like veterinary things and insurance and all that fun stuff. So yeah, we help you with all of it.
And how much does it cost, Gabby?
It's free. So if you're interested, if you even just want to have a conversation or talk about your fears or anything, please feel free to sign up. Because we love to help. We have the privilege of working with a lot of different shelter partners, so we've kind of worked through almost everything. I know Katie likes to have a challenge now and then, so
I do. I love a good
we can help
challenge.
you with anything.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks,
Yeah.
Gabby. Gabby broke
Yeah.
up a little bit there, but just to kind of reiterate, they've seen a lot on the coaching side of things. And one of the other really great things that they do often when an organization is in coaching is that piece of, hey, let me connect you to somebody else who's already doing this work. You know, like I want you to be able to hear from them and learn from them. So that's a really, really valuable piece of that coaching piece as well. And I know Tori had a great question in the chat. We will talk a little bit more about that towards the end, but those are some of those things. So her question about veterinary care, that's some of the stuff that we'll go into with like a little bit more detail in those training workshops. So lots of great information in those workshops. And then here's our funding opportunity. So, Gabby, do you want to talk about rescue rebuilds, renovation grants? And then Tia, I'm totally putting Tia on the spot. Maybe then we'll have you talk about our safe housing grants. Cool. All right, go for it, Gabby.
Yes, so Greater Good Charities offers grants year-round. And the grants that we usually give out are actual construction renovation grants. So our team will come out and do the renovation for you, and sometimes with the help of our Rover volunteers. The grants are typically between 60 to 100K, and we give out about 5 to 6 a year. And the application is on a rolling basis, so you can apply at any time. And if you might not be a good fit for that specific time, we'll still encourage you to join our coaching program because it's for free. And we can help you along the way until maybe we have a spot that opens up in our schedule or funding to help you out.
Awesome. Thanks, Gabby. You've been warned. If you get a grant from them, they are coming. They're coming to you.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
coming. We're swinging hammers.
We love it. Tia, you want to talk about Red Rover?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So Red Rover has our safe housing grants, and we provide up to $60,000 to domestic violence shelters and animal shelters to help them create and expand their pet programs. And for our upcoming June deadline, we'll also be offering those safe housing grants to homeless shelters as well. So we have 3 deadlines throughout the year, March 1st, June 1st, and September 1st, but you can, check it out and apply anytime. Those are just the deadlines that we will review applications. And if you have any questions, I'll put a link into the chat here. You can request a PDF of what that application looks like. And then you'll be put on our Safe Housing Interest List newsletter, where you can get up-to-date information about our grant opportunities and ways where you can chat directly with our grants team.
I love it. Thanks, Tia. Tori, no real advantage to applying to an earlier deadline necessarily, but I would say sooner the better. Just because, it's the end of the year and well, it's not the end of the year, but the end of the year is coming before we know it. But no, to answer your question, they're all equally evaluated. Yeah. Okay. And then anytime we hear about new funding resources, from other folks, we will drop them into the don'tforgetthepets.org website under resources. So definitely encourage you to check that out. Okay. No problem, Tori. And then I do just want to point out, we hear this sentiment a lot, and I will read it out to you. We hear from the vast majority of our organizations that this is actually a fundraising tool. I think we get really, really worried about this being a drain and that we're going to have to spend a lot of money to either start it or sustain it, but it just doesn't bear out that it's a lot of money. And in fact, one of our domestic violence executive directors down in South Carolina shared, we are getting more people wanting to donate to our animal program than to our core services serving people. The public loves this program. It's a bit of a sad fact, like no doubt. A lot of folks don't understand domestic violence. They don't understand homelessness. They have a lot of judgment around it. They don't want to learn about it. They don't want to donate to it. But a lot of those folks are going to be animal lovers. And so when you share with them the importance of this kind of programming and that animals are getting hurt, and this is what we're doing to be able to help animals and people stay safe and together, it really can become a fundraising tool for you. So this one is also you, Bryn. Number 5, pet-friendly shelters allow pets and people to heal together. And I think, I got the question coming up first and foremost. For you. I
I love
know.
it. What do we
I know.
got?
You know this
I love
question. So
Katie surprises me sometimes with questions. It's exciting. I don't know what they are sometimes until they pop into the Menti. It's her way of making sure I pay attention.
this is what happens when somebody gets all of the control of the
I
slides.
know.
It's wonderful. It's
It
wonderful.
is. I kind of enjoy the surprise of it all.
Yeah, there you go. All right, question 3 of 4. How
Uh-huh.
many minutes do you need to spend with a dog to lower cortisol levels? Is it 5
Mhm.
minutes, 8 minutes, 15 minutes, 23 minutes, or 30 minutes? And this was, Bryn, just confirmed by a professor at Virginia Commonwealth University Monday at a presentation I was at. She shared this
Aw,
stat as well. So yeah, there you go.
see, that's exciting.
I know. Five
Mm,
minutes. We'll check out the leaderboard and then we'll let you take it away.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, or we might have a change
Ooh.
up at the top. Here we go.
Ooh, a double change.
I know. I know. There you go,
It's
Bren.
exciting.
Yep.
All right, yeah. So 5 minutes with a, oh, that was exciting.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. It just makes it fun for me. So 5 minutes with a dog. And what you like to keep in mind is there is real science to what is the human and animal bond really doing for us and our physiology. All of our, I like to call these our happy chemicals, our endorphins, our dopamine, and all the cool downstream effects that all these crazy chemicals do to our bodies. I always love talking about cortisol just because it's always in the popular press and we all hear about it as our flight or fight. But it's a devastating chemical for us. It makes us not be able to sleep, not make good decisions, constantly anxious, constantly on guard. It's our flight or fight. Great if you're a gazelle living on the plains, not so great if you're a human trying to have a normal existence. So pets really do a lot for us scientifically, not just for the cool, warm, and fuzzy hugs.
Oh, I love it. Thanks, Bren. Oh, yeah, that's a big one for you. You want to talk about that one too?
Yeah. So, again, the PALS report, we can't say enough great things. We're both data dorks. So check out the PALS report. Great for grant writing, great for everything. But this one is one of my favorites just because people say that pets play a significant role in their ability to heal. So even if they don't know what that is tangibly that it's doing to their body, if they're saying it, then it is true. It is their reality. And if we hear from our clients and the people that we're trying to help that they need their pet to heal, then are we really helping them recover if we're not considering the whole family and their pet is part of their family?
Yep. 91% of 2,500 is a lot of
Right?
people.
It's a lot of people, man.
It is. It is. It is. So putting it all together, when human services organizations don't serve people and pets, we really are missing some valuable tools. One of the most devastating things that we hear from a lot of shelters is that their frontline staff have to say no. If the question does come up from a survivor, like, "Hey, can I bring my pet?" Frontline staff share that it's really hard for them to have to say no. We're also just not being trauma informed or survivor centric in our work. We also know that survivors delay or they don't leave an abuser. We also know that pets are used as a tool to force return. And we know that the abuse potentially continues. But when we do serve people and pets, we do help facilitate healing. We do increase that staff morale. I think that was one of the biggest bonuses that we started hearing from folks, Bran, was just that that staff morale piece. I remember the shelter down in South Carolina where Grandma, she referred to herself as Grandma, the shelter manager, was very hesitant to becoming pet friendly. Pets came in, two Jack Russell Terriers. The executive director had to go over every day to actually help take care of the dogs because grandma was like, no, I can't do it. And steadily over the next few weeks, grandma started going out and hanging out with the ED in the backyard with the dogs, just chatting. And then ED got a phone call one day that said, hey, I don't think you need to come over to do dog outdoor time today. I'll do it. It's okay. I'll do it. And so grandma started doing it. And then when the family got into the long-term housing, executive director got another call. And this time grandma said, hey, something's missing. They really made it feel like home. It just really brought up the morale of the whole house. Can we become pet friendly? And now they're pet friendly. So for me, I don't know about you, Brent, but that's one of the nicest bonuses, surprise bonuses I've heard.
It's hard work. I
Yeah.
mean, we have the easy job. We just get to
Yeah.
talk to you. We don't have to be in the trenches every day
Yeah.
trying to do this. And so anything we can do to help with compassion fatigue and morale and just keeping people mentally healthy as well as physically, win-win for me.
Yep, absolutely. We're also able to give children a new story. We do know that at times children may be abusing animals, either because they're being forced to, they're learning that it's appropriate behavior, or they're just trying to exert some form of control in their own lives. And so now, when we're able to keep people and pets safe and together and provide that support, we can give them a new story of what it means, to love and be a companion to a pet. We're, of course, also being trauma informed. We're survivor centric. bonus. We're gaining some fundraising opportunities. It's a new donor demographic for us. And we're really just helping to raise awareness and build support. I think Bryn mentioned it a little bit earlier, but this is a good, can be a good entryway into some really hard subjects. So here's a quote. Thank you, Sherry, for pulling this one out for me yesterday. But Voodoo and I were left homeless after I barely escaped with our lives. There was nowhere to turn for help with the most important thing to me, my pup. Can't leave until the worst case scenario. I hope other survivors can leave earlier, knowing that they don't have to leave their babies behind. And I think this is probably, sort of that sentiment that really keeps me going, Bryn, is that there is grant funding and there's tools and there's help, and we're absolutely willing to do everything we can to walk with you down that path and help you get to this point. And it's not just us. Like, there are many, many other organizations and people throughout the country who are ready to help with that. Folks don't have to stay, right? So where have we been? Let's face it, percentages always start somewhere, right? Like, there's always a starting point. So as best as we can tell, this percentage was 3% in 2012. It grew to 6% in 2016. I only know that number 6% because that's when I started at Red Rover, and so that's where we were then. 2019, which was a big year for us at Red Rover, we officially launched our Purple Leash project with Purina, and we were at 10% at that point. Grew to 16% in 2022, and then when we officially launched the 25 by 2025 campaign, which we were kind of already doing it a little bit before then, but at its official launch, we were at 17%. And right now we're at approximately 19.5%. So we do have 5.5% to go in less than a year. I think we can do it. It is a tough haul. I'm not going to lie. But no matter, I know for us here at Red Rover, and Bryn, I'll let you speak for yourself. This work is going to continue for us beyond 2025 as well.
Absolutely. No, we're super excited. We have the marketing realities, and then we have the reality realities. And I think 25 by 25 just sounded so good at like coming out. But we are not giving up. We will hit 25% and then skyrocket past that at some point. I feel like this is one of those things that the more we get the word out, and the more we are all as advocates in this role, like, we have to shout this from the rooftops. I know we get very security conscientious as especially domestic violence providers. But Katie, one of the other PALS reports that you didn't mention, Katie, was that 72%, of the survivors who called into the hotline didn't even know that they should ask about pet programming. And that just like, stab twist. So we got to shout it out, and we'll get to that 25. No worries.
Yep, absolutely. And to your question, Yolanda, this comes from a partnership with domesticshelters.org. So they share data with us, and we'll talk a little bit more with them in just a little bit. So this is definitely not us making up the numbers. This comes from our partnership, our data sharing partnership with domesticshelters.org. So there we go, 19.5%. I will share, I think it's about 100 domestic violence shelters that are left to go, but I'm still excited. We had a really, really great year last year, I think. Bryn or Gabby, do you want to just kind of highlight what you all did in 2024?
Gabs, take this one away. You're the one who's building it and doing it.
So we had 4 grants for $284,000. At the top of my head, it's going to be hard to remember all the builds we do because we're always bopping around the country. But yes, we did do floor renovation at domestic violence shelters. And yeah, Tia, do you want to do the safe housing grants?
Yeah, so 16 grants in 2024 for around $775,000. Very exciting, and we love being able to partner with Rescue Rebuild to do some of the joint DV shelter build projects.
Yep. Thanks. And then collectively, we trained just under 1,500 people via 17 DFT workshops and presentations. It was a very busy year. We may even break it this year, who knows. We provided coaching services to 41 organizations throughout the year through DFTP. We also launched a new revamped, I actually think, I am so sorry, that should be a new revamped 25 by 2025 website. I am so sorry about that. The DFTP website did get revamped, but I think that was 2023 when
Yeah.
it got revamped. Yeah. So apologies there. There is a brand new 25 by 2025 website for you to go and look at as well. And then we reached just about 2,000 people through additional outreach efforts. So attending conferences, doing other kinds of presentations and things. And, you know, it really is about raising that awareness for us, but then also making sure folks know, like, hey, we have grant funding and we have this support to provide you along the way. So real quick, this is where Bryn and I are scheduled to be for the rest of the year so far. However, hot off the press, I won't tell you where it's going to be yet, but there may be another one in the Northeast that is in the works just as of Monday. So keep an eye on the website. This may change. Those are in-person workshops. Very excited about our next guest presentation where our good friend Dr. Annie from Purina is going to be joining us to talk about Pet Behavior 101, supporting animals in crisis. And I believe that's going to be like a two-part series. So Dr. Annie will be coming back a couple of times. And we are launching our brand new Go at Your Own Pace online training very soon. The team did not feel comfortable giving me a hard and fast date, which I appreciate, but it is coming very, very soon. We are in the review stages right now and checking it all out. So very, very exciting. You'll be able to take the training, go back to it, revisit it, do all the things. You can still come to our in-person training and then always go back and revisit the virtual training as well. I'm also excited to share that on September 30th at 1 p.m. Pacific, we're going to have a special 25 by 2025 virtual panel discussion. So far, right now, our good friends from the National Organization for Victim Assistance and DomesticShelters.org are going to be joining us. And we'll just have a general discussion around what this movement means at a national level. So very, very excited about that. Make sure you're on the newsletter so that you know when that is going to be happening. And then we are also going to be hosting some additional virtual events throughout October, which is, of course, Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So there you go. Tia, did I miss Chicago in July? Or did you just want people to come and see you in Chicago?
Somebody asked.
Oh, okay. I love it. I love it. I'm like,
Please do come.
okay.
I'm gonna visit.
There you go. You can go and see Johanna. I mean, see Tia. I just saw that Johanna is with us as well, so I missed the opportunity to introduce Johanna. But you can go see Tia in Chicago. Quite simply, what you can do, there are a few different things. One is stay informed. So make sure you're on our newsletter, you're joining us for these conversations, that you're also learning from your local organizations as well. We'll tell you a little bit more about how to find out about those organizations in a minute. Download the toolkit that has also been revised. We've got some new social media graphics for you in there. I'll have a couple examples up in a second. Raise awareness. Bryn gave you an answer to a question that is coming up. So we'll talk about that in a moment. And of course, find resources near you. So download the toolkit. It's got great sample language for you, email sample language, social sample language, even letters to the editor, because that still happens and I'm here for it. So lots of lots of sample language there. You can even download your badge, show your support on your website, anywhere virtually that you want to share your support for this campaign. Here are a couple of the sample social posts that you will find when you download the toolkit. Thanks, Johanna, for introducing yourself. I'm so sorry that I missed you earlier. Okay. When you join the newsletter, you will catch the latest news. Emphasis on cat.
Dad jokes abound.
I
I'm
know. It was
surprised
my
you
only one of
contained
the
them.
day.
I
Only one of
know.
the day.
Amazing.
I know. We'll make sure that you hear about all of our workshops and presentations. So not just our DFTP stuff, but anywhere that we're going to be going and speaking. Any new learning and resources. And of course, we will keep you updated on our stat as we continue to grow it. But here we go. Final question 404. Bryn actually gave you the answer a moment ago. So we'll see. Now, if you win, let's do, how many folks do we have? We'll do like top 3. So top 3, your job is to message Tia. You can either message her here or she'll drop her email in and tell her if you want a purple leash project leash or a purple leash project cat collar / small dog collar. And she will make sure that that gets sent out to you. Okay. All right. So last question. What percentage of survivors were unaware that some DV shelters accept pets? Was it 22%, 49%, 52%, 68%, or 72%?
Shady lady sneaking that in. Good for
I
you.
know, I know.
Sorry, didn't mean to.
No,
I didn't even know you slid that in.
it's all good. Yeah, 3 of you got it right. It's honestly, for what you said earlier, Brandon, it's one of the most important, one of my most important stats out of that report. And we'll touch on that a little bit more again. But let's see our winners. So top 3. So we've got, it's going to be interesting. Tori,
Mm.
HJ, and YOLO, you came back. All right. So the 3 of you reach out to Tia, Tori, HJ, and YOLO. Make sure you reach out to Tia and let her know what you want. Yeah, as Brent said, 72% didn't even know it was a thing. Remember, 97% said that keeping their pet with them factored into their decision to leave. So that's a huge gap, y'all. So we can do all of this work to create this kind of programming, but it doesn't do us any good if the survivors don't know that the programming exists. So as mentioned earlier, and I think Tony also asked a question, domesticshelters.org. So it's a directory of domestic violence shelters in the US and Canada. So they have a big old list, and they rely on individual organizations to make sure the information is up to date. And so please do hop in there, check and make sure. They have the option for you to say, are you an on-site pet-friendly shelter? Do you have an off-site housing program? So that is essentially, in a very, very short abbreviated description, that's how they get their data, is they rely on you all to make sure it's correct. They pull it all together and then have you update it. And that is where we get our percentages from. I do want to call out that the National Domestic Violence Hotline does have a directory of pet programs in the US, but callers do need to ask specifically about pet resources. Okay. And then finally, the Safe Havens Mapping Project, which is a project of the Animal Welfare Institute. They are a directory of pet housing programs. So they have on-site and off-site housing programs for domestic violence shelters. And I'm excited to share homeless shelters as well. So that's something very brand new for them. So wonderful, wonderful resources. Please do make sure that your information is there. And then I know we're just about at time. I can stay over to answer some questions, but I did just want to kind of give a couple of tips around, especially if you're an individual or maybe somebody from the animal welfare world who wants to reach out to your local domestic violence shelter about this. I think it's really, really important. Obviously, we want you to share, hey, there's grant funding available. Hey, there's free resources. There's free technical assistance available. Like, they need to know both things. The free money by itself doesn't really cut it. We realized that a long time ago, that we need to give the money plus the resources and support. Don't call the hotline or the intake number. To reach them, you need to call like a business line. You definitely don't want to clog up their hotline or their intake number with this kind of information. We need to keep that open for survivors and folks who need that immediate assistance. These last 2 are kind of tied together for me. I really encourage you meet people where they're at. And so this does tie into you got to be patient with this kind of work as well. You know, right now, a lot of our domestic violence shelters, our human services organizations are feeling a bit of strain right now. There's a lot of uncertainty with federal funding right now. And so, you know, reaching out to them and saying like, hey, start this new program right now may feel a little daunting to them. It doesn't mean that you don't reach out to them right now, but do it compassionately. And, you know, just know that they probably have a lot going on right now, just trying to make sure that they can keep their doors open. And so I want you to reach out to them, but just be super, super kind about it. And, you know, be patient. This is a marathon. You know, this work can take some time. So, Brent, I don't know, are there any other tips or anything you would add to this as well?
No, I would just say, you know, it really is a walk, and you do have to walk the path, and you're not alone. So, you know, we have a great team. They're all incredibly personable and incredibly friendly and willing to help you. So we're here to support you, and just take your time, get it done.
Yep, absolutely. So we're gonna formally wrap up, but I'll stick around for questions. Brent, I don't know if you have time.
Yeah, I'm good.
Cool. I just want to say thank you to our partners at PetSmart Charities for being able to make this whole campaign happen. And of course, our supporters at Purina and the Purple Leaf Project, just really, really big supporters, I think, in this movement. We will drop our contact information, I think, into the chat. In case you have any questions, you are welcome to answer this question if you want. Just want to know what some of your next steps are. But also want to take some time to answer some questions. We really appreciate you all spending your time with us and being interested in this campaign. I know, Bryn, there was a question about veterinary care.
Yeah, so Sherry and
yeah.
I got to chat a little
Good.
bit aside. So Sherry,
Okay.
if you have specific questions, shout them out, because guaranteed if you have questions, other people on the
Mhm.
call have questions.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, and so Tori had initially asked the question, is how much medical care grooming needs should we expect for pets coming into our shelters? Do you have any statistics on the average amount of medical care that these pets are needing at intake? Bryn, do you want to take a first crack at that and then?
Absolutely. So grooming, you know, grooming is a thing, you know, all dogs are going to need some level of it, and your desire to provide that can be as simple as having like a wash tub in your backyard. It could be as nice as allowing dogs to be bathed in your tub, or it could be a really great opportunity to again shout it from the rooftops and reach out to those groomers, reach out to those, you know, those people that are could be your partners in the community, and really get them engaged. So I would say that on the grooming side, and then they also asked about vetting, you said, right?
Yeah.
Katie?
Yeah.
And so vetting can be as simple or as complicated as you want it. The one for me that is the absolute, you know, must have, or just get them up to date on their vaccines. And so just your regular, very standard yearly vaccines for both your cats and dogs, the rabies shot, get that on board. And we can happily walk you through that more in a coaching situation if you have very specific, like, how do we do that, and how do we quarantine, and what does that look like? Because there are different strategies for keeping your pets in a slightly isolated fashion until they're up to date on those shots. And it doesn't take long, depending on, you know, what vaccines in particular you're using. It can be really quick, and it can be as long as 14 days. It depends, you know, what you're dealing with. And then the other thing I would say is an absolute must have is a good flea and tick and heartworm regime. And so there's so many nice combined drugs at this point where you can get that all in one cool little chewable. It's very easy to keep on hand. You know, it's just with the heartworm preventative in it. Most veterinarians to prescribe that are going to want to see a heartworm test on the front end. So you might want to talk to your vet about just doing a very quick flea and tick that you can do on your own as soon as the pet comes in, and then get the pet to the vet and get them on that heartworm preventative.
Yeah, and
Go
oh,
ahead.
okay, so sorry, Sherry. I was just gonna add, Tori, you know, one of the things we talk about in more depth at the workshop is every pet who comes through needs to get that initial vet care. Partly to make sure they are healthy and they're okay. But especially with domestic violence, if needed, this is going to be a really important part of that, setting up ownership in the survivor's name. And so very, very important part of the process. But one of the other things that we talk about at length in the workshops is you don't have to do this alone. And we actually really, really encourage you not to do this alone. And so that means for our human services folks, that means you're partnering with an animal services partner. You're partnering with a veterinarian who's going to be able to give you some of these insights ahead of time, help you plan out with support from us if needed, and ideally be able to offer up some of that stuff for free. You had asked about stats, and we do not have hard and fast like stats on our grantees and what their veterinary needs end up being. But there's a great report that came out from Purdue University a couple years ago. And it was a longitudinal study. They have basically an offsite housing program. So they do, I think it's boarding of animals of domestic violence survivors. And so they look back over, I think it's like 10 years worth of data. And the worst veterinary needs they saw were dermatological. And so that's like flea and tick. So, in terms of like veterinary needs, not very extreme. So there is some data out there, Tori. But we don't have any hard and fast data. So
Well, in my experience, because we've been pet friendly for several years, we're in the desert.
Yeah.
So you don't deal with as much of heartworm, with as much flea and tick.
Yeah.
We've never had one come in with flea and ticks.
Yeah.
That's
So we've been
amazing.
fortunate, but we have a lot of dogs and cats come through, but the biggest thing for us is people don't get vaccinations. That's the biggest thing, and that's one of our requirements when they come in. That they have to have physical proof that they have at least their rabies, but we got to have the other shots too. But we just quarantine in their room.
Yep.
They're only allowed to bring them out to go to the bathroom, and then they have to go back in their room, so they can't come out in the common area.
Yep.
But once they've got their shots, then we allow them to bring them out into the common area. And, if a dog's kind of got an aggressive attitude, we kind of, talk to them about what's appropriate. But really, we haven't had any problem really at all with people's pets. We've had people that had 3 and 4 big dogs all at once. Here they come with their herd of dogs. And so I don't see a whole bunch of negative to this.
Yeah.
So as far as veterinary, haven't had to experience, haven't had any broken legs or anything like that. So that's just from my experience.
Yeah. We're all gonna collectively knock on wood for you, Sherry, just in case.
Thank you, please.
Yes. Yeah. Great, Sherry. Tony, I see you over there. I see your hand up.
Yeah, I wanted to say that our pets grant that we have through the federal government, which we still have for right now. So it's a day-by-day thing. But we found that we budgeted a significant amount of money. Each organization budgeted a significant amount of money for veterinary care based on like some averages that we had looked at of like what it was to get somebody in to get a wellness check for the pet and to get that like a dog or a cat, all their shots. And then we budgeted a little bit more than that, kind of thinking about emergencies that might come up. And we have found that we've spent a lot less money on vets than we had anticipated. So that is really, really good news. Like it seems like they're either in need of one, maybe they're just a little late on a shot because of the abuse and not being able to get them there. Most of them are like that, or there's a few that are really, really bad because they've been abused, right? And then you have to deal with that. So that was one thing. The other thing, I am going to reach out to my executive director and have her reach out to the coalition's executive directors. every coalition needs to go on that website and look at domestic shelters, because I was just looking at what Tia had put in there and looking at that page. There are places on there that don't exist. Like they literally don't exist.
Well, I will say, Tony, that they did just send us over an update. And unfortunately they have their raw numbers. We don't see the behind the scenes. There's already been a drop off that they may not have reflected publicly just yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, a lot of places haven't reported since a certain, you know, for a long time. And some places are still like they reported a long time ago, but they're still in the same place. They haven't gone anywhere. They haven't, but like we have 17 brick and mortar shelters
Yeah.
that are domestic violence specific in Maryland.
Mhm.
17 that are, that we know about. And they're saying there's like 30. And I'm like, that is a terrifying statistic to me, because if people are out there running a domestic violence shelter and they're not talking to us, we need to go and talk to them and find out what's going on, because that really scares me. Because we just did a survey of all of ours. And one of the things I wanted to ask about was some domestic violence service providers don't have brick and mortar shelters. We have
Correct.
several of them who don't do that. They only hotel.
Right.
But if they're hoteling with the pet, does that count as in room? Or in,
It probably doesn't count for our in room co-sheltering percentage, which is, I mean, is fine. I'm just excited that it's still happening. I would say, you know, it might make sense to make sure that it's listed on Safe Haven's mapping project, to make sure it's captured there. Just because I don't know if domesticshelters.org, like how much of the non brick and mortar they
right.
list.
Well, yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
I really don't think they do. And I think that would be helpful. We're
Mm.
planning on doing doing an entire web page that's going to have like an interactive map
Yeah.
and a list of the shelters, and also it'll show how they house. So do they house on site? Do they house in the room? Do they house in a separate building? Do they board? So people will know as
Mhm.
soon as they go to look for shelter, they'll be able to see. I'm hoping that we can create like a little paw or something to go with the ones that have pet options, so people can
Yeah.
click on that and then see what they have,
Yeah.
to help kind of do that
Yeah.
outreach of to letting people know that that's available.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you
And I
so
think
much.
that's similar to how domesticshelters.org and Safe Haven's mapping operates now as well, which I think is really, really helpful. And then being able to filter out, like if I'm somebody who's like, no way, no how, I am only going somewhere where I can stay with my pet, kind of reduces the numbers a little bit, which I think is a good thing, meaning that we're not sending them, you know, to like 4 different places that they just aren't even going to consider. Yeah. Yeah, that's exciting, Tony. Let me know how your how it goes. I'm excited to hear. Yeah, I bet. Peg, did I see your